clock on the wall, 7 p.m. This was Will was about to say something, I think. Call the June 13th, 2018 board meeting of the Lisle Library District to order. Roll call, please.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Present. Here.
Jay Fisher.
Here.
Richard Flint.
Here.
Thomas Hummel.
Here.
Liz Sullivan.
Here.
Emily Swistak.
Here.
Laurie Wayne.
Here.
A quorum being present. Item 2 is the election of officers. Our bylaws require that we elect officers every 12 months, and it is that time again. Are there any nominations for the office of president?
I nominate Jay Fisher for president.
I second.
When nominations don't need seconding.
Sorry.
But any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Not for president.
Yeah.
Nominations are closed. We only have one nominee for the office. We can do this by voice vote. All in favor of Jay Fisher for president, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I am elected. Any nominations for the office of vice president?
I nominate Emily Swistak for vice president.
It is nominated. Any other nominees for?
I nominate Tom Hummel as vice president.
Any other nominees for vice president? Any other nominees for vice president? Any other nominees for vice president? The nominations are closed. We have 2 nominees, Emily Swistak and Tom Hummel. So we'll have a roll call vote, and you will vote for Swistak or Hummel.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Hummel.
Richard Flint.
Swistak.
Jay Fisher.
Hummel?
Thomas Hummel.
Hummel.
Liz Sullivan.
Hummel.
Emily Swistak.
Swistak.
Laurie Wayne.
Hummel.
By a vote of 5 to 2, Tom Hummel is elected vice president of the board. Are there nominations for secretary?
I nominate Laundry, I'm sorry, for,
I think it's in the wrong order. I believe treasurer goes third, despite what it says.
I
on the agenda.
nominate Laundry Wang for treasurer.
Thank you, Richard. Any other nominations for treasurer? Any other nominations for treasurer? Any other nominations for treasurer? Nominations are closed. As there is one nominee, we'll do it by voice vote. All in favor of Longry Wang for treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Longry is elected. Now, nominations for secretary.
I nominate Emily Swistak for secretary.
Emily Swistak is nominated. Any other nominees for
I
secretary?
nominate Marjorie Bartelli.
Marjorie Bartelli is nominated. Any other nominations for secretary? Any other nominations for secretary? Any other nominations for secretary? The nominations are closed. We will have a roll call vote. Again, you will vote for Swistak or Bartelli for secretary. Roll call.
Richard Flint.
Swistak.
Jay Fisher.
Bartelli.
Thomas Hummel.
Bartelli.
Liz Sullivan.
Bartelli.
Emily Swistak.
Swistak.
Laurie Wayne.
Bartelli.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Bartelli.
By a vote of 5 to 2, Marjorie Bartelli is elected secretary. Just 12-month terms. Item 3 on the agenda is presidential appointment confirmation of standing committees. I will review the committees, talk to the board members to see if anyone wishes to change. And then I think I will come back next week with any changes if there will be any. But until then, they will change, they'll stay the same. Item 4 on the agenda is opportunity for visitors to speak. Any of the visitors present wish to address the board for up to 5 minutes? Seeing none, opportunities? No. Then we move along to the consent agenda. Item 5. Need to approve the minutes of the May 19th meeting, acknowledge the treasurer's report, investment activity report, current assets report, revenue report, expense report, and authorize the payment of bills.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items 5A through C.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There was a motion and a second. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, roll call please.
Emily Swistak.
Aye.
Laurie Wayne.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye.
Richard Flynn,
Aye.
Thomas Hummel,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 6 is the director's report. Director Weinstein.
Okay, well, we'll start with the power outage. We had one on May 15th. In the afternoon, the library experienced a complete power outage. Commonwealth Edison mentioned a fire incident or a burnt cable in the neighborhood that took out an area in our close proximity. And we temporarily closed the facility to the public. Patrons were asked to leave the building for safety reasons. And we posted social media, website, and paper signage notifications. Power was restored at about 5 p.m. that day, and then we opened the building at about 5:10 after our IT manager made sure all of our servers were shut down and then brought back up properly. And staff handled the situation wonderfully. However, we do continue to have a few more outages and surges. We had another 2 on Friday. One was about 5 minutes long, the other was a few seconds, and then we had another one on Monday again, very brief, so I guess it's spring in Lisle. I don't know what these power surges are, but they're happening. It's very frustrating for both patrons and staff. Your computer goes black, you lose everything you're working on, or you could be caught in a dark corner of the building, or you could be caught upstairs with a stroller and our elevator's not working. So staff did a wonderful job in assisting our patrons and helping people out of the building. So I thank them for that. They're very professional. And speaking of summertime things, on Saturday, June 2nd, we had our largest turnout ever for a summer read kickoff party. We had about 550 people here. It was a 4-hour event. We had live music, we had craft table, we had a bubble making area. We had the cheesy food truck here, providing very scrumptious snacks. We had a chalk walk, a reader's advisory tent, and the very, very popular indoor sandbox. And I have to comment on the sandbox because I've gotten so many questions about the sandbox, and I'm glad Will is here so he can add to that. Yes, Will Savage, John Ferrari, and myself moved about how many bags? 100
It was 106 bags.
Yeah, 106 50-pound bags of sand with wheelbarrow into the building and into that group study room on the adult floor. And I have to say that photographs do not do this sandbox justice. We had lines outside of the room. We had so many children just waiting to come in and try to come back in. So it was well worth the sweat and prep work. And yes, the next morning, we rebagged all that sand and wheelbarrowed it out, and then we used it on the property for like weed control. So we recycled the sand. So it was good, and the weather cooperated beautifully on that day. We had 451 people register for summer read on the first day, and then as of tonight, or this report, I know in the report I gave some numbers, but as of this report tonight, we have over 1,100 patrons registered and over 73,000 minutes. The kids are tracking their reading time. So we're off to a great start with Summer Read. It runs through July 27th, and that's a Friday. And then the next Saturday on the 28th, we have our wrap-up party from 11 to 2.
How many patrons was that? Like, how many patrons?
Which number?
The total, when you, the revised when you.
1,106.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. And then speaking of summer 2, this past Monday, the library launched a summer lunch program. This program is in partnership with the Northern Illinois Food Bank and the West Suburban Food Pantry. Assistant Director McQuillan has guided the library's involvement with that and has more detailed description in her report. Moving on to the tax levy, we received the final calculation for our 2017 levy from the DuPage County Clerk's Office. Last year, the library requested a levy of $4,315,000, and the final extension came to $4,360,000 and some change. This slight increase is due to an annual 1% add as well as some rounding. So, does that answer your question, Liz? Okay.
Yeah, I'd never seen that they were different numbers.
Yeah. And then moving on to policies, administration drafted a number of policy revisions this past month, and we have 3 in the packet up for discussion and hopeful approval. The committee chairman will follow up with a meeting overview when we get to the committee report section of the agenda. And then in grant news, I'm pleased to announce that the library received a Rails multi-type collaborative grant in the amount of $2,208. Jean Demas, our adult services literacy librarian, applied for the grant, and she received the award letter in May. These funds supplement the library's Families Together Reading Enrichment Program. It's a partnership with Literacy DuPage and the Ann Reed Early Childhood Center. And then in other funding news, the library received a $100 donation from the James S. and Janet G. Luce Fund via their charitable giving firm. So that was very nice to receive. Wrapping up, I have a couple of trustee mentions, actually 3. I understand Trustee Flint was chosen as a committee member on ILA's fundraising committee, so congratulations.
Okay.
And then President Hummel had communications from the West Suburban Food Pantry Board, and via his communications, the staff were able to connect with the appropriate representatives, and we were able to garner some volunteers for that program, so I'm happy that was able to work out. And then the last mention is for the community 4th of July parade. The library participates in the annual event, so staff and trustees walk Main Street, toss candy, push some very patriotic book carts along. It's a fun event, so we meet here, then we shuttle over to the junior high, and then we walk Main Street together with the other groups. And I have confirmations from Treasurer Wang and Vice President Hummel and Trustee Flint. Are there any other? Okay, Jake.
Do you still keep the hat I gave you last year?
Okay, great. If anyone else reconsiders, give me a call.
I just
or
don't know
send
if
me
it'll be a tab or not yet.
Send me an email. It's fun. We've got a bunch of staff who signed up too. And that's all I have.
All right, any questions from the director?
Yes, I have a few questions about the Monday lunches, but I'll wait until after Beth gets the report.
Any other questions for the director?
For the power outages, is the village aware of how often the neighborhood has these, or?
The village? I'm not sure.
Okay, because I mean, do you know if other neighbors have complained of? Because I mean, it's not just us.
Have
right?
we heard from any neighbors or anything? I know it wasn't just us for
Well,
the
yeah,
big
that's what I'm
one,
saying,
but
that-
I mean, when we call ComEd, they tell us
Yeah.
that it's not just us, that it's an area.
Because I mean, it seems pretty frequent for this neighborhood. so
yeah, it does.
I don't know if there's anything the village could do. And then as far as the summer lunch how did it go the first day?
How many families do we have? I know Beth has a report,
Yeah,
so she'll
okay,
get
so,
to
all
it.
right. Well, then there's also with the James and Janice, or Janet Lowe's Fund.
Yes.
Is that the former high school counselor? Janet? I think that.
I don't know.
Okay, I think that's who that is. And then just going back to the summer lunches, I'll just be quick, because I do want to thank the staff for seeing this program through. I know there was some obstacles.
Hoops.
Little
Yeah.
hoops throughout. I know, because I got contacted, I think back in late January, early February, first from Michael Olson, who's on their board. He's also a Park District Commissioner. And then the West Suburban Pantry, I believe, was their executive director. I spoke to, then I handed it off to staff, and like I said, you guys saw it through, and I congratulate you for going through the obstacles and getting it done, so thanks.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for the director? Seeing none, then we'll move along to the assistant director's report. Beth?
I'll start with the summer lunches. The Lisle Library District is hosting the summer lunch program on Mondays, and we started June 11th, and we'll finish up on August 6th. We're doing this from 11:30 to 1 here in the meeting room. The Summer Meals is a multi-funded program designed to provide lunch to children during the summer at no cost to the children. And many children don't get the nutrition they need during the summer months when they're no longer receiving lunches at school. As mentioned, the program is sponsored by the Northern Illinois Food Bank in cooperation with the West Suburban Community Pantry. And again, the host site here is the Lisle Library District. The Lisle Library District had their first lunch on Monday, and staff met the food delivery truck, and we placed the meals in the meeting room here refrigerator, and then we facilitated the room being set up. The West Suburban Community Pantry has recruited several volunteers to help with the meal distribution and cleanup, and the meals are eaten here in the meeting room. That's part of the plan. You can't take them out of the host site. Monday we had 4 children eat lunch, And our volunteers, the food pantry, and Lisle Library are working to spread the word about our Monday lunches. Now, today we found out that a local social media had posted about this lunch program. However, there seems to be a little bit of miscommunication. I just want to say again that the lunch is provided by the food bank with the assistance of the food pantry. The library provided the meeting room, and it's on Mondays through August 6th. It is not all summer long. So I'll answer questions. Does that help?
Yeah,
Whatever
and-
questions
yes,
there were?
yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
My
so-
question, do we know, I have just a few, what's in the lunch? What do you eat?
Well, on our board back here, there's the month of June's meals are posted here. And they're different each week. This week it was like chicken nuggets with a dipping sauce. There was broccoli with also, you could use ranch dressing on it. There was watermelon and sun chips and chocolate milk. So,
So, where do they heat them? Where do they heat their nuggets? Or do they come heated?
no, they're coming out of the refrigerator, but the kids liked them.
Cold nuggets, okay.
Right.
Um,
Next week, I think it's a Southwest wrap.
So we don't wheel in a microwave?
No.
Okay. And my third, I think my final question was, is there any condition that the kids have to satisfy, like a income condition or just any, or do we have to be enrolled in a public school as opposed to a private school? Or is it any kid who wants lunch can come?
Any
on?
child who wants lunch and visits this site can have lunch.
And the age range is,
0 to 18 years of age.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Was that what they were expecting, was like 4, or they expecting?
We ordered 25 meals,
Okay.
and 25 is about usually what like Woodridge Library gets on their first time. So
Mhm.
they think,
Just didn't matter getting the word out.
right, exactly.
And does the Woodridge Library market it differently, or are we sort of adopting the same marketing tactics they have, so hopefully we can get more kids as we go forward?
They have an activity that they do with the children first, and then they eat lunch. So we're looking into that and talking with, we'll be talking with the food pantry, and the food pantry actually goes over to Woodridge too. So we're getting feedback on different ways of doing the program.
Even though there's no income requirement, it is though typically geared towards lower income, I believe.
What the population that they're trying to reach are children who normally get their lunch at school. Either they buy their lunch or it's provided. So they're trying to reach that target audience where the children might be just not having lunch. Okay, the elevator. The elevator maintenance continues at the library. Several circuit boards have been replaced on the elevator control panel. However, the intermittent door control issue seems to continue. The maintenance company is consulting their operating engineers as new parts are no longer made for this brand of elevator. So I did talk with the elevator company Monday, and they assure us that they're still looking for parts for us. Staff training. One of our facility monitors, Justin Proctor, attended a Laconia workshop at Oak Park Library on homeless patrons using the public library. And they talked about in detail the services that librarians provide in providing resource information to the homeless. And, some of the topics that the resources are like housing, meals, jobs, and health issues such as mental illness. And then Justin also received like tips and ideas on resolving problems and preventing conflict in the library with the homeless population. So Justin has been sharing those with his coworkers, and we'll relay them at our staff meeting on Tuesday. Today I met with the sewer service company in case you've noticed, there's a water being retained out in the Front Street water retention area.
With ducks.
With ducks,
Ducks
yes.
have now adopted this pond.
So it's not very much, but there is some water that's not going down. And so We talked about the issues of the drainage there, and he's going to help us with a proposal for how to clean that area out. And we also talked about the south parking lot, so we're looking at both of those for proposals.
I think Beth also received a patron call,
Oh,
worried
yes.
about mosquito.
Mosquitoes coming from the water and in that area, so I did talk with, it's one of our neighbors on Front Street, so they walk their dog and see this, and
We
so
assured
we
them
reassured
we're
her
on
that
it.
we were on it, so.
If it lingers, you guys probably have a mosquito spray company come out too.
Is that our responsibility?
Yes, the storm sewers on our property are our responsibility.
Okay, so they're actually on our property?
Yes.
Okay.
HVAC, we had several issues with the meeting room air handler. 2 of the sensors for the air handler will be replaced. One is the shutoff for the boiler. So there's hot water sort of all the time, and so that the boiler is always ready to provide heat if you need it. And wasn't working correctly. And then the other one is the regular temperature control. So, and due to the age of the air handler, the repair for the temperature control, they're going to piggyback and put a new one on top of the old one to make it work. They have a special way they're going to do that. And that work should probably be done in the next couple days. In the meantime, they've jerry-rigged it, whatever is a good word, to make it work. It's kind of running a little longer, so it stays cool in here. As Tatiana mentioned, we had several electrical outages, and as she mentioned, some are for a few seconds, others were like 20 and 45 minutes. And these outages do put stress on the mechanicals, such as the air handlers, and staff are having to restart the air handler for the youth services air handler that reaches for the second floor. For whatever reason, it doesn't start up again. And when they do the other repair on the HVAC, they're going to look at that one also. So I think that's the report.
Question for you. Is this, like the electricity, is that a ComEd problem, or is that, I mean, or do we have somebody else besides ComEd? I don't know who does the distribution.
It's ComEd.
ComEd is responsible for the lines.
Correct.
I mean, that's what I was asking before. I mean, if it's a neighborhood problem,
It is.
you have.
Well, it started with the construction on Reedy. They had huge trucks on Reedy tearing up the street. And almost the time that they started, the surges started.
That wasn't the major one we
No.
had, but yeah, then the surges and the flickers and the this, yeah.
So that's something like the village should maybe know. And then, no.
I was just gonna say, we were having problems in our neighborhood, and I don't know who went to bat, but somebody got everybody all together, and now ComEd's actually replacing the lines that feed our neighborhood, because they were supposed to be replaced like 10 years ago, and those lines are like, I don't know, 20 years old. And so they kind of like said, oh yeah, we were supposed to do maintenance, we were supposed to replace them, and we didn't. So I'm wondering, I mean, to Tom's point, getting the village involved, or, you know, I don't know who, but it seems like they need to be held, you know, to a certain standard, and I think they're failing.
Well, we can make some follow-up calls to the village and see.
May I go back to the elevators?
Mm-hmm.
I think you've mentioned a couple times that there are no longer parts for an elevator.
Correct.
Have we given any thought long-term? I know it's got to be terribly expensive to replace an elevator,
It is.
but somewhere down the road, if we can't get parts.
I was going to ask that question, Marjorie.
Not that I want to spend the money, but
Well, the repair people have told us that it's about $70,000 to repair the elevator, to
Replace.
build a new one. They're built to spec, and do the installation. Everything would be about $70,000. That's just one quote. I haven't talked to anyone else other than the people who are doing the repair. And I told them that we're doing strategic planning, I told them that we're assessing the building so that we couldn't do anything right now, and he understands that he needs to find us the parts. We're not the only one in this situation. He told us about a nursing home that's, you know, pretty much similar age, same model or manufacturer that's no longer in business.
Well, you know, one source sometimes of information or parts would be go on eBay. Unfortunately, there's some really old cars or some, you know, things that, you know, historical ones, some replacement parts you can just get on eBay too. There's different ways to find.
Well, they deal with other elevator companies and repair, and they
Or
share this. Right.
Scrapyard for elevators.
Or remanufacturing parts, yeah, reman parts.
But it sounds like after the short term, we should think about buying a new elevator.
Yeah, I agree. That should be part
How
of our.
long do elevators normally last? I don't have one in my home, so I don't know.
Well, if I understand the time that this addition was built, so this one would be about 30 years old. Right?
1987.
Okay.
It is probably the cable is not hydraulic. Nowadays, all elevators are hydraulic. So.
The last question I had is, for the Garbage Republic service, is that still, are we still, because I know the village changed over to Lake Shore, but does that affect us?
No, it does not.
We got a contract.
Right.
Okay.
And we're going to stay with them because
Our
they
lot
come.
is unusual.
Our lot is unusual, and it makes it difficult to get under the lines on
Power
Kingston,
lines.
so they actually come in the exit very early in the morning. So
We're staying with Republic? Okay.
at the moment,
Any further questions for the Assistant Director? All right, thank you, Beth. Item 8 is committee reports. Treasurer Wang, Finance.
Just a couple quick report out, and we just received 2 payments for, you know, tax levy 2017. So it's about 1.4 million. That's kind of about 33% of total allocation. So that's first. And second piece is that our Finance Committee has a meeting scheduled, right, on June the 27th
That's right.
at noon.
Yes.
And so we have several topics on the agenda. One of them we talked about is review of DNA, but we also have Eller come in to give us overview of the financial market, especially with the rising interest rate, right? Hopefully talk about what's the implication of our investments going forward as well. And that's what I was kind of talking to Ginger and Tatiana before the meeting. We need to rethink of probably hold off on continuing investing in bonds and maybe just park at a money market, because they actually yield higher rates, because we have a rising interest rate, it's inverse relationship with the bonds yield. So we have a couple investment due in July, so we're going to talk with Ellers about maybe we can hold off on reinvest and actually park it to money market for a period of time. So that's something we'll be discussing at the Finance Committee. And I think that's it. So anybody is available June the 27th at noon, welcome to join us.
I hear that we have an inverted yield curve, which usually spells disaster, but long-term disaster. So perhaps you could ask Ken to discuss that too.
Yeah, sure. Well, Ken won't be there, but someone from his firm will be here. Yeah. And also, by the way, also request a preliminary cash flow forecast for next year as well. So as we get more information, we'll revise as we go forward. For example, we talked about when we get the actuals for last year, so we can update our assumptions. So maybe on a quarterly basis, we can take a look at our cash flow forecast. That's it for me.
All right, any other questions for the Treasurer? All right, 8B, Personnel Policy.
We met on Friday, and the fruits of our efforts are in your packet. You've read them all. We have 3 of them up for vote, and when we get there, we'll go into greater detail. We do have tentatively another meeting scheduled for around Labor Day. I wanted to wait until we can sort of start seeing the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel for strategic planning, because that process itself will probably produce policies. So that's committee, what do you think? Is that a short summary?
Yes. Any questions? All right, physical plan?
Done at this time.
All right, strategic planning. The speech impediment always comes up on that word. Our next meeting is scheduled for July,
June 20th.
June 20th.
Yes,
Ah,
around
June
the corner.
20th, coming up, next week.
Yes, so you and I will meet on Friday to discuss that agenda.
All right. And I refresh my memory, do we have homework for this meeting?
We don't, we're actually picking up where we left off because we had such a long meeting, and we're going to discuss in fuller detail the facility short survey we had amongst our committee members.
All right, so,
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So did we miss the point, number 3 on the agenda?
no, as I
Or-
mentioned that as of now, the committees are going to stay the
Oh,
same,
okay.
but
I must have missed that one,
Um,
sorry.
I know at least one person has requested a change of committee, so I will talk to the trustees, and
Okay.
if there will be any changes, I'll go announce them next month.
All right, thanks.
Any questions about strategic planning? Hearing none, we'll move along to item 9, unfinished business, United for Library Board membership. There was, I believe some information was distributed. We talked about this last month and put it up for this month for action. It is $80 for a group membership for the board for United for Libraries, which is a division of the American Library Association.
Right, it's, you will have one login if we go forward with this for the entire board. You will have access to a one-year print subscription to the Voice for American Libraries, which is a 24-page newsletter. And then there's digital access to a number of other resources. And we do have money under the umbrella of training and dues and conferences for this in this fiscal year, but we could also put it in next fiscal year. It's up to you.
The other thing that I like about it is that you can actually take training courses online that are specifically targeted for trustees through this membership.
Someone want to make a motion? Or
I move that we spend the $80 to purchase the membership in United Libraries, United for Libraries.
there is a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
There is a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion.
I'm going to oppose this for 2 reasons. Number one, it's not because of cost. We could probably get the $80 out of petty cash. That's not the issue. We've used United for Libraries before, and I used to get their newsletters all the time. And I don't think it really, my personal opinion, it doesn't add much value to the memberships we already have. That's number one. I looked at the description, and a lot of what they do involves friends groups. And I don't, if the friends want to spend $80 for such a membership, that's okay, but I don't really see us getting into it at that level. And second of all, we just had a fairly robust, I'll use that term, debate on the budget. And while I don't want to get into the trap of saying, you know, we're nickel and diming ourselves or act like we're broke, because we're not, by the same token, I'm conscious of the fact that we actually lowered the budget, and we lost 2 trustee votes because we didn't lower it enough. So I'm concerned about the optics. I'm concerned that we passed a budget that was already lower than before, wasn't low enough for 2 trustees, and yet we can find the money for this added. I'm concerned about the optics, so I'm not going to support it.
Further discussion on the motion?
I'd be willing to give up going to a trade show or a training class, because given that there is one that's specifically for trustees, it would be a bigger bang for my buck to do, I don't know if they had 5 or 8 training sessions. I would get more out of those than going to one conference. So I'd be willing to make that trade-off. And a conference costs more than $80.
do we know, is it an annual membership from the time that you sign up, or is it from a date certain?
No, I think it's from when you sign up.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, roll call. The I vote is to spend $80 for a group membership for United for Libraries, and the nay vote is to not spend the $80 and not become members, not buy a group membership for United for Libraries.
Laurie Wang,
Yes.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye.
Richard Flynn,
Nay.
Thomas Hummel,
Nay.
Liz Sullivan,
Yes.
Emily Swistak,
Aye.
That was the majority, and the ayes have it. Motion passes.
Okay.
We have a long list of items under new business this month.
Yes.
Item 10A is adopt resolution 1802, the list of our current members.
Can I group 10A through 10F?
I would oppose that. Let's do them separately.
Can I make a motion to approve Resolution 18-02, Lisle Library District Board members?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Do we need a roll call vote for this?
You probably should.
It does say
we'll
on the
call
on
it.
the document, it does say ayes and absent.
Yes.
All right, roll call please, sir.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye.
Richard Flynn,
Aye.
Thomas Hummel,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Emily Swistak,
Aye.
Laurie Wang,
Aye.
Resolution 1802 passes by a vote of 6-0. We have approved the board members. Yeah.
Just to clarify, I'm just talking about the resolutions and ordinance, grouping them together, not all in like the policies. Okay.
I still think we should do
All
it
right,
one by
okay,
one.
okay.
Item 10B is adopt ordinance 1801, the prevailing wage ordinance.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 18-01, prevailing wage ordinance.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. This is the ordinance that we need to pass annually to comply with the Labor Act. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Richard Flynn,
Aye.
Thomas Hummel,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Emily Swistak,
Aye.
Laurie Wang,
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye.
Motion passes. We have approved ordinance 1801, the prevailing wage ordinance. One of the requirements is that we must publicize it. So item 10C is approve the notice of the prevailing wage ordinance that we just passed.
I move that we approve the notice of the prevailing wage ordinance that we just passed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? Roll call, please.
Thomas Hummel,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Emily Swistak,
Aye.
Laurie Wang,
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye.
Richard Flynn,
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. We now approve the notice of prevailing wage ordinance. Item 10D, adopt ordinance 18-02, an ordinance authorizing non-residence cards.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 18-02, ordinance authorizing non-resident cards.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion?
Yes, I think that we should do our annual explanation of what non-resident cards are.
Okay, these are for patrons to, if they're non-residents, to purchase cards if we are their closest library. We use the tax bill method per DuPage County, and the current, we multiply the current tax rate, which is currently .414, by the net taxable value of a person's home. And then as of July, the net taxable rate will be .361. So let's say someone's home is worth, estimated at $100,000. If they were to purchase a card, it would be $361.
And could you also specify the conditions for someone qualifying as a non-resident eligible to get a card? Not all non-residents can get cards.
She said that we were their closest library.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that needs a little bit more explanation. Remember, you're speaking to the camera.
I understand. So there are a number of public libraries in our vicinity, so if we are in the closest distance to that person's home, we would be their nearest library, and they could apply for a card.
If they are
with us.
contiguous to our boundary
Our
line, you
district
mean?
boundaries, sure.
All right, thank you. Is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Emily Swistak,
Aye.
Lori Wang,
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye.
Richard Flynn,
Aye.
Thomas Hummel.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. We have adopted ordinance 1802, the ordinance authorizing non-residence cards. Item 10E is adopt ordinance 18.03, the chronology ordinance.
I move that we adopt ordinance 18-03, the chronology ordinance.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second.
For a second.
We go with this. Is there discussion on this motion?
I would just point out, because this was the source of some questions last fall, everyone keep this where you know where it is, because items come up throughout the year, legally binding dates and so forth, and it will satisfy you and save time around here if we all know what the chronology is.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Emily Swistak,
Aye.
Lori Wang,
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye.
Richard Flynn,
Aye.
Thomas Hummel,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. 18-03, the chronology ordinance has passed. The last of the administrative ordinances is 10F, adopt ordinance 18.04, the ordinance setting out the meeting date schedule for
I
the
move
district.
to adopt ordinance 18-04, the meeting date ordinance.
Second.
There is a motion and a second on meeting date ordinance. Any further discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Lori Wang,
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye.
Richard Flynn,
Aye.
Thomas Hummel,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Emily Swistak.
Aye.
Ordinance 18-04 is passed 6-0. Our meeting dates are now been approved and out to the public. We move on to page 2 of our agenda. Item 10G, approve policy 342, social media policy. Chairman Flint, do you wish to introduce it?
Yes, I do, but I'll defer to committee member Swistak.
We need to make a motion.
Would you make a
first, right?
motion? Thank you, to put it on the
I
floor.
move that we approve policy 342, social media policy.
There is a motion to approve policy 342. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Trustee Swistak, do you wish to introduce the policy, or Chairman Flint?
Well, let us call on Director Weinstein
Okay.
to get into this with us. What is new?
Okay, no problem. We first reviewed this policy in January as a personnel and policy committee. And then from that meeting came a few suggestions. And then we had another meeting on June 8th. And with that came more edits, and that's what's in the packet tonight. The last revision of policy 342 happened in 2013. So most of the draft includes grammatical edits and strikeouts of some redundant information. There are some new additions, such as under item B5, little e, that states that commercial, proselytizing, campaign-related content may be removed from our social media platforms. And there's also a new section for trustee use of social media under section D. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, the changes that
The one
happened.
comment I would make, and this was the subject of quite a discussion. It didn't occur to me during the meeting, it only occurred to me afterward, which is when most things occur to us. A good policy, a well-written policy should not indicate what the right to do is, but should only indicate what the library will do. So I'm a little concerned under item 5. LLD reserves the right to remove or moderate content from library-sponsored social media. The specific contention, the one that got the most discussion, was the new item E contains commercial, proselytizing, political campaign-related content. I lost the discussion on that one. The other two trustees were okay with leaving political campaign-related content in it. I strongly disagree, but I'll just hold that back for now. We might see how the policy goes. My main concern is under LLD reserves the right to remove. That really troubles me because it doesn't indicate what what conditions would be used. As I said, a policy should indicate what the library will do, not what the library has the right to do. Nevertheless, we spent a good amount of time on it. We have a motion and a second, and I don't know that there's a lot of detail in this policy. I don't know that one item should hold up my vote. But I'll know when Chris calls my name.
All right, is there other discussion on the policy 342? Okay, hearing none, then roll call, Chris.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Yes?
Richard Flynn.
Aye.
Thomas Hummel.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Emily Swistek.
Aye.
Laurie Wang.
Aye.
Policy 342 is approved by a vote of 6-0, the social media policy. Item H is another policy, approved policy 610, the patron code of conduct. Is there a motion to approve?
Tom, you want to take that?
The patron code of conduct?
Yeah.
Can we just make a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve policy 610.
Is there a second?
Second.
In this policy, Tatiana, help me out.
Sure.
You see the scratch outs, et cetera. We first had a patron code of conduct, I think, 6 years ago. And so we tightened up the language. We removed a couple of redundancies.
Under number 13, there's better language in reference to our service animal allowance, as well as a new addition to the code of conduct referencing petitioning or campaigning in the building under number 15. So, and as Trustee Flint mentioned, there's a lot of grammatical edits there and some.
I specifically like 13. Staff may ask the animal to leave the premises. Very good change.
Actually, I just have a question real quick. In number 15,
Yes.
if you go like partway down, there's like a scratch out and it says entrance of the, and then of the building, because library got crossed out, but then so it says entrance of the building.
Yes, it
That's
does.
one of
Yes,
Do we
there's a
see
double
that?
of, I caught that.
There's a
I
double.
think it's because
of
we
the-
changed it to
Yeah.
of the building instead of the library.
Right there?
Of the
But
building.
Okay, I see, I see.
it got,
All right.
everyone got
I caught that
added.
this afternoon to Emily, as well as the fact that, and I apologize that I didn't get to it until this afternoon, I've been out of town, was you deleted item 3.
Yeah, we'll renumber
We'll
them.
renumber them,
Yes,
okay.
we will renumber.
That was the
Yeah.
other thing, okay.
I'll also comment, number 22 was the subject of some discussion. Bags may be inspected with probable cause. We put probable cause in real time. That gave us a little bit of disquiet. Nevertheless, we can't anticipate all the reasons we may have to search bags. But I suppose we should have it as a placeholder.
When I volunteer at events, we inspect every bag, and in a way, I would like to leave, we don't have probable cause, but people are aware that we're gonna look in their bags, and I would kind of like to leave the library with that flexibility, so that they wouldn't need probable cause. They can just say, we're inspecting bags. So I would just recommend to go back to it anytime.
I know I was the one that had, what everybody else felt, but I was the one that kind of had a problem with that because, you might volunteer at a private, not-for-profit, so that's like you're going, there's probably going to private property is a little bit different than government property. I think the government should be held to a little bit of a higher standard, and specifically the Constitution, which is the Fourth Amendment. So I actually did it for constitutional grounds. I don't think
Tell me what's the Fourth Amendment?
right
Search and seizure.
right, search and seizure. So so we added the probable cause. So the library still can search bags, but they just can't just sit here and start searching bags willy-nilly. They have to have a probable cause. So
The example Tatiana came up with was, suppose that we're a gun-free zone. Suppose we have reason to believe that somebody has a weapon. Well, we have the right to search their bag.
Well, I would probably call the cops for that.
Did I bring that up? I don't remember bringing that up.
Yeah,
I didn't bring
No,
that up.
it was library materials.
Yeah, but no, I think it was library materials.
It's library
No,
materials.
No, you did.
We talked about the alarm going off.
Right.
Yeah, the
That was for
Talking about the alarm
materials.
going off for
Yeah.
the materials.
Yeah. And with the gun, I think you would probably call the local
Yes.
authorities. So I think it just, it seems too, just if it's at any time, that seems way too strict. I mean, I think even the police technically are supposed to have probable cause. I don't know where that's at nowadays.
Not if you walk into their building. You walk into their building, they
I don't
can
know.
inspect anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
We meet there once a month, and they have
Do they
made it
really?
clear. Yeah. They don't, they
Oh.
have the right to.
Oh,
They don't need probable cause at that point, because you're on their property. Same thing with Naperville Settlement, which is technically owned by the city. And when we have an event there, everybody who comes in has to be screened.
I guess, okay, I use like going to the Blackhawks game at the United Center. I mean, you gotta empty your pocket. It's like an airport nowadays. You gotta empty your pockets. You gotta put your phones, wallets, keys in this thing. You go through the, the metal detector, all that stuff. That's private property, and you're paying to go in. Where this is a public building, so.
And I've just given you two examples.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would agree with the Lisle Police, or if that's where you meet. I don't know if I agree with that policy. I mean, that might be their policy, but I don't know if I would agree with that, but.
All right, is there further discussion on policy 610, the patron code of conduct?
Yes, please.
Okay.
On number 15, I was wondering if we could just change the language a little bit. And I'm looking at the second sentence where it says, outside the building, such activities may be conducted not less than 15 feet from. I would suggest changing that to, activities may not be conducted 15 feet or less from the entrance of the building.
So you want to change the negative from the distance to the activities?
Yeah, these activities may not be conducted 15 feet or less. Or somehow, just the way that it comes up, it's hard for me to understand. Such activities may be conducted.
At least 15 feet from.
Perfect.
Is that what you're?
Perfect.
At least.
Does that?
At least
At
15
least
feet
15
from
feet from?
the front
I think the word
entrance.
you want
From
is,
the entrance?
Yeah.
I think the word you want is within. Within 15 feet of the building.
Well, this is may be conducted,
Yeah,
not
I
may
mean,
not be.
If you had the word
Within
not,
15 feet.
then I like within. Yeah.
Maybe.
So may not be conducted
Within
within 15 feet?
Yeah, that's more
Does that?
clear.
Yeah.
May not
Is
be
that clear?
No,
conducted.
may not be conducted
Within
within.
15
Okay,
feet? Is
that's
that
fine.
okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Then technically you would need to change, instead of from the entrance of the building, it would be.
Of?
Yeah.
Who was the movement, Chris?
I think I missed
Tom.
Jen, it was Mr. Humboldt.
It was-
Okay.
Yeah,
You need me to-
Tom made the motion to approve policy 610.
Yes, I think we have now amended.
So we need to.
we-
Make a new
that-
motion.
So
does-
why don't I do that, I'll withdraw that motion,
Okay.
and I'll make a motion to approve policy 610 as amended.
Second.
All right, there is a motion and a second to approve policy 610 with the changes in 15. Any discussion on the new motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Thomas Hummel,
Yes.
Liz Sullivan,
Yes to approve.
Yes.
Emily Swistek,
Aye.
Lori Wang,
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye.
Richard Flint.
Aye. All right, policy 610 was approved as amended, the patron code of conduct. Item 10I is approved policy 850, 7/E and X 10/D, hours of work and holidays.
Before we, on the draft, it
It's
says 8,
8.
and on the agenda,
I
it says
just
7.
noticed that, yes.
So it's actually 8?
It's
So it's
8.
eight?
It's 8.
8/E.
Sorry.
Okay. I was going by the agenda, not by
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I move we approve policy 850, 8E, and XD, hours of work and holidays.
I'll second.
All right, there was a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
There's just these are pretty simple. They correspond with the recently adopted working budget where the time and a half for Sunday hours was eliminated as of the new fiscal year, and that happens July 1st.
So, just so I understand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, there are 11 holidays or days off? Or how does that work? Is it a day off with pay? Is it a day off with pay for full-time only? I just don't understand how it works.
For the holidays here,
Yeah, the
yes,
holidays.
they are paid.
And is that part-time paid or?
Anyone who's scheduled. If the holiday should fall on a regularly scheduled day off of a full-time staff member, that person shall be given an extra day off. And yes, if the holiday should fall on a Sunday, the library will be closed the following Monday. Part-time employees shall be paid for any hours he or she was regularly scheduled to work on a holiday.
So like if the holiday's on a Tuesday and you're normally scheduled to work on a Tuesday,
You'll get paid.
you get the pay. But if you weren't, then you don't.
Right.
For part-time employees.
Right.
Like at my work, we have someone that works part-time Monday through Thursday, so if the holiday, like Memorial Day was on Monday, they would get paid. If there was a holiday on the Friday, they wouldn't get paid. And so it depends on their schedule.
This is probably a more generous policy than most of the people who pay taxes pay into. I know that there's a lot of companies that are, reducing the number of special days that you get paid for. And part-time, they don't pay anybody for any holiday.
And this is more in reference to the Sunday hour issue.
All right, is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing none then, roll call please.
Liz Sullivan,
No.
Emily Swistek,
Aye.
Long Ray Wang,
Aye.
Marjorie Bortelli,
Aye.
Richard Flynn,
Aye.
Thomas Hummel.
All right,
I vote 5-1, policy 850 has been approved. Item 10J is the approval for the closing library for staff development day.
I move that we close the library for staff development day
Do we need to say that on August 10th or?
on August 10th or.
Thank you. There's a motion to close the library on August 10th, 2018 for staff development day. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, roll call please.
Emily Swistek,
Aye.
Long Ray Wang,
Aye.
Marjorie Bortelli,
Aye.
Richard Flynn,
Aye.
Thomas Hummel,
all right.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Can I just, do you have like an agenda yet for the staff training day? Or-
We have a few, we do the emergency drills for all staff. We are going to have a team building exercise, which we have not hammered out yet. We do have a partnership with the Heritage Society to come in and talk about the community, and so it's kind of a learning exercise for our staff.
On the
And-
history of Lisle.
Right.
And
And then we'll have some-
resources, excuse me.
Go ahead.
And
Staff, Assistant Director McClellan is
sexual
coordinating
harassment
it.
training
Right.
from our insurance company, drills.
Right. So we're still hammering it out, but.
But the harassment training, I think, should be more than just sexual, so any harassment training, right?
It is,
It's broad-
it is.
broadened
It's
to
lo- it's
just
broader.
harassment training,
Right.
yes, yeah.
All right. Item 10K, we need to get to after we go into executive session. So make a motion to amend the agenda to go into executive session under 12, under 5 ILCS 120-2C1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity.
So moved.
I know.
Since you rattled off, so moved.
Before you take a second,
Yes.
do you think it's appropriate to say a little more broadly what we're going to talk about?
Sure, it is the annual review of the executive director's performance. That the board performs every May or June.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to go into executive session under 5 ILCS 120-2C1. Is there discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
I would like to suggest, propose that our discussion focus on evaluative comments on performance and goals achieved. Last year, if you remember, if you look at your notes, I actually opposed going into executive session because there was talk about discussing forthcoming goals. And I think that was improper. So I would ask us this year to restrict the conversation to evaluative comments for next year's goals. I think that should take place in open session, not closed session.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Sometimes I think you can't separate the past from what we want to achieve. I think we can have a discussion, but setting goals, maybe, I don't know what's a good forum, but I think we can't be strictly 100% in discussion, because some of the opportunities would be that we want to achieve will become a following year goal, right? I don't think we need to kind of restrict just for past performance, even though the focus should be the performance evaluation, but we don't have to strict to just the past. That's my perspective.
Is there a concern, Richard?
It's an OMA concern.
Legal concern?
OMA.
So. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Bonnery White,
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye.
Richard Flint,
Aye.
Thomas Hummel,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Emily Swistek.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are going to enter into executive session. It is 8:44 p.m. on Wednesday, June 13th. We are back into open session. Next item up for discussion is item 10K, set director salary for fiscal year 2018-2019.
I move that we offer Tatiana, if she will accept it, a 3% raise to $111,348.15.
A second?
There is a motion and a second. Is there
Tatiana, would you
discussion?
accept that?
I do, thank you.
Is there any questions for the director about her future goals that she didn't speak of?
Well, I think for the future goals, I think we should, I think for me, just can continue to do, what you've been doing, but I think most importantly, also align your goals with our new strategic plan, which we are in the process of forming. My overall comment.
I would say, Tatiana, that the consensus is that you're doing all we asked and more. Very happy with your job.
Thank you.
The one thing I would say is, around the table, I've heard a lot of talk about cut, efficiency, and sometimes that's good, but moving forward in the next fiscal year, let us think also about where we may need to invest, where we may need to support. We're not a cutting board, we're a right-sizing board.
Any further comments?
I would say keep what you're doing and keep running it efficiently.
The library will close in 15 minutes. If you wish to apply for or to renew a library card, please do so now.
And I know that you are, when we have committee meetings, you do inform the board. I think you just sent an email out Monday for the finance committee. So yeah, as long as it's good to have it in a timely fashion, especially with the summer months coming up, people always have it is good. And I had anything else? So no, it was, it's good. I mean, you're definitely doing a good job. The one quick question I had though was in the 18-19 IT goals, you have the staff phishing and spoofing training. I think I know what that is, but just, is that, like, what is
Just
it?
being aware of phishing expeditions and
okay.
emails and
Gotcha.
not clicking on
That's what I
things and
figured it
making sure
was.
to be aware of those things.
Gotcha, that's what I figured it was. I actually, I did like Laundry's idea, maybe possibly the next review, a year from now, maybe doing the 360 review possibly. That's something we can probably discuss as a whole later on, but that isn't a bad
I'm
idea.
sorry, what did you say?
The 360 review. So, I mean, we could discuss that probably going forward if we want.
I would say that was not a very long executive session because I think we were all in agreement that we
thank
are
you.
pleased with your performance.
Thank you, I appreciate
When
that.
do we set the specific performance goals for next year?
I believe the performance goals were what the director laid out in this document that she gave us. I don't think that we take the positive activity of endorsing those, but those are what she presented to us today. Did I misunderstand your question, or?
No, you
Okay.
understood it. I'm just, I'm just uncomfortable with doing it kind of as a broad brush goals. I would like us to set more specific goals. And maybe we do that at the end of strategic planning, and maybe we have a 6-month goal, or, you know, half a year goal, and then a second half of the year goal.
Okay, we can talk about the goals at the end of the strategic planning process. But, yes. Any further discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye.
Richard Flint. Aye. Thomas Hummel.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Emily Swistak.
Aye.
Right, motion passes. Your salary is set for fiscal year 2018-19.
Oh, I missed laundry.
Up laundry.
Aye. I thought I already said that.
Item 11 is opportunity for trustee comments. I will begin this month. I just want to congratulate staff on the summer read kickoff. My whole family came. And even the teenage boys didn't complain too much. They enjoyed the grilled cheese.
Great.
And they loaded up on books for their trip to North Carolina, which they've now all finished and need to come back and read it. But it was a great event. Thank you.
Great.
Trustee Flint?
I will second, I'll be like Longry and second. Your perception of the summer read, it was a lot of fun. The one thing I would say is that this showed a place where we're going to have to do some investment. We heard that a new elevator would cost as much as $70,000 if we had a new one. We also need to take a look at our parking. We have filled up the Catholic Church's parking lot. That's no good, that's unsustainable, and it's not right. We should have our own facility. So let's continue to keep lists of things that we're going to have to invest in this near future.
Thank you. Trustee Hummel?
I think we're good.
Trustee Sullivan?
Couple of things. I was wondering, Tatiana, if it wouldn't be too much trouble, can you run the packets on 3-hole punch paper? It's just, you know, to separate them into, you know, like 10 sheets, get a punch, 10 sheets. I'm just wondering, you know, if you could do that.
Does the whole board want that?
No, not necessary.
Because we have a 3-hole punch that's on the, we have it available.
I know if I use
We do it all in one batch, so we would either do it all or one.
I do it myself. If you guys want to do it, that's fine. I can keep doing it myself. It's not
Any preferences?
If it's not a big deal, if you wouldn't mind doing it, I'd appreciate it.
Nice.
Well, we do it in a batch, so it was either one or the other. So
Is it
can we make a
the printer does
decision?
it, or the copy machine does it?
Mm-hmm.
Nice, but not necessary.
Yeah, I can, same thing. I mean, I do it, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a big chore. I mean, it's either or.
Doesn't seem.
I mean, if, is it, the copy machine does it, so it's not any extra manpower per se from.
It's gonna be a double go-through for just one person. It's a one, you have to go through it again for
What I
one.
guess what I'm saying is if you did it for all 7.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's not taking any
Yes.
extra staff time.
Yes.
It's just the way the copy machine
Right.
is, it hole punches.
Right, so we would either do it all or not.
Does anybody object to having their pages 3-hole punch,
That's
even
fine.
if you don't use them?
No.
Okay.
Okay, if you
No,
don't.
yeah.
I just wanna do it all,
Yeah.
for all. All right, Chris, you got that? Okay.
And the other question, I have 3, so this is number 2. The other question I had is it possible, like when you've got a bullet point on like the, I don't know what you call it, the cover sheet of the packet, and it says like that the agenda's 2 pages, would it be hard or difficult for you to put like page 1 through 2 is the agenda, and page 3 through 6 are the minutes?
That's not hard.
Because it doesn't really hinder me when I'm at the beginning, but when I get into something that's, 25 pages, and I'm like flipping to see what page to what page it is.
Sure.
So if you don't mind doing that. And then my third thing is begging for volunteers. I know that Eyes to the Sky helps Lisle's Women's Club earn money. And Lisle's Women's Club gives donations to the library. And they started the library and everything. So there's an opportunity for any volunteer to go, even if you're not a member, man or woman. My husband's doing it. He's not happy about it. But we have one day, which is Saturday the 30th, and we have shifts where we sit in an air-conditioned booth and we sell the tickets to get into the event. We get paid $15 an hour to Lisle Women's Club, which is incredible because it's really hard to get things that pay you so highly. So if you're willing to do, they're like 3-hour shifts, 3 to 6 and 3:30 to 6:30. I think there's 6 to 9. Let me know. And if anybody, I don't know if you can pass that on to the staff. What we're concerned about is that we're going to lose that opportunity next year if we don't fill the slots. And so I think it indirectly will hurt the library.
Well, I can help out. I can sign up.
That would be great.
As long as air conditioned.
And you get to stay in the park and watch whatever you want to watch, go to, see all the shows or whatever. So that'd be great. We can talk later.
Thank you, Liz. Trustees Fistek?
2 things. One, I just wanted to echo what's already been said about the summer read kickoff. We pulled into the parking lot at 11:08 and we had to park way at the far end, so we got one of the last few spots and it started at 11. So right there, that told me that it was already a huge success before, like right at the beginning that it had started. And we actually came twice, my family. We came at the beginning to get our grilled cheese, but then we had to leave to go to soccer. And then we came back after to check out our books and sign up for the summer read program and all of that. And my 3 kids are all participating in the youth reading, and they're all excited about it, and they're getting tokens, and then they trade in their tokens to get prizes, and so it's kind of a fun experience for them. And not just the reading, but also the missions. So it's so that's really exciting to see. And again, the kickoff was fantastic. And then the other thing I wanted to say is I just wanted to thank Tatiana for putting together such thorough and detailed information for
In
us.
5 minutes, the library will be
in her director's
closed and
reports, but then
the
also
computer shut down.
in
Please be sure to check out
her
all
performance
materials before
assessment
leaving
that
the
we went
building.
through also. Thank you.
Trustee Wang?
I'm good, thanks.
Trustee Bartel?
I'm good.
All right. I believe a motion to adjourn is now in order.
Make a motion to adjourn at 8:55.
There was a motion and a second?
Second.
No, sorry, there's a second. Now we have a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.